Hey guys, I hope you're all having an amazing day. So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking every weapon in Apex Legends Season 14. I do really appreciate all the support that you guys showed on our Legend tier list video, so I thought I would do another one, but this time with weapons. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not going to be including care package weapons in this video, which includes the Kraber, the Mastiff, the Rampage, and the Bowcheck. Always, if you guys do go on to enjoy and want to see more videos just like this one, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment down below with any changes that you guys would have made. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the tier list. Alright, kicking off the list, we have SMGs, starting with the Alternator, which I have put in the B tier. The Alternator is a very reliable SMG that has remained relatively consistent over the seasons, other than when disruptor rounds were in, of course. It has a great mag size and easy to control recoil. However, what really lets this gun down is the time to kill. In a 1v1 situation against an R9 or a Volt, you are most likely going to lose against a good opponent simply because they will down you faster than you can down them. I don't know about you guys, but I will always take an Alternator over pretty much any pistol, but due to the time to kill, I have put the Alternator in the B tier. Next up is the before mentioned R99, which I have put in the A tier. The R9 is a great SMG with one of the fastest times to kill. It is very important to hit your shots with this weapon, as its insanely high fire rate means that you either need to hit 99% of your shots or have a purple light mag. This is the downside of the weapon, as if you don't hit your shots or have a decent mag and come against someone with an R301 or a Flatline, you're most likely going to lose. The next SMG is the C.A.R, which I have put alongside the R9 in the A tier. It is commonly debated which SMG is better out of the R9 and the C.A.R, and honestly, I don't even know which one I prefer. The R9 has a faster time to kill, however the C.A.R is a bit more reliable. They are both, however, great options for close range engagements, which is why I have put them in the A tier. Onto the Prowler, which I have put in the B tier. The Prowler is a great SMG that can deal ridiculous amounts of damage if you hit your shots. The mag size and the hipfire spread is also great, and being an SMG, you have good mobility while using it. The only issue with this weapon is that because it is a burst weapon with slight delay between bursts, you can be punished quite severely for missing your shots. However, if you do hit your shots, this weapon has a great time to kill and is overall a solid SMG. Our final SMG is the good old reliable Volt, which I have put in the S tier. The Volt is definitely the most well-rounded and reliable SMG with a great mag size, low recoil, and good damage. This thing can honestly be used as an AR with how easy it is to use. Both close and mid-range engagements, this weapon is an absolute beast, and I highly recommend trying it out if you haven't already in Season 14. Onto the pistols, starting with the P2020, which unfortunately is the only weapon that qualified for the D tier. Overall, the P2020 isn't absolutely terrible. It has a great mag size and damage per shot. Also, if you are lucky enough to get hammer point rounds, this weapon can be quite deadly at times. However, I don't know anyone who would take this gun over pretty much any other weapon in the game, as it is outclassed in some way by pretty much everything. This weapon is a decent placeholder for a better weapon. However, as for now, that is all it is really good for, which is why I've put it in the D tier. Next up, we have the RE45, which I have put in the C tier. I personally view the RE as a better version of the P2020 with a decent mag size and DPS. Furthermore, if you're able to secure hammer point rounds, this weapon can absolutely beam. The main reason for this weapon's placement is that it is outclassed by pretty much every SMG in the game, even with hammer points. However, I do find this weapon to be much more reliable than the P2020. Onto Lifeline's favorite pistol, the Mozambique, which I have also put in the C tier. Following the weapon's relatively recent buff, the Mozam should no longer be slept on. It definitely packs a punch and has a decent mag size. However, you do need to be very accurate, otherwise you will be outclassed by any SMG. On the other hand, if you are lucky enough to get hammer points and a purple bolt on this bad boy, you are in for a great time. However, due to the lack of reliability and slightly above average mag size, I have put this weapon in the C tier. As for the final pistol on our list, the Wingman, I have decided to put it in the prestigious S tier. Even though the Wingman has moved on to the sniper category, its ferocity has remained the same. This weapon has a great mag size, DPS, and the return of the Skull Piercer has only given players another reason to fear this gun. The Wingman provides great mobility, and in the right hands, this is one of the strongest weapons in the game. For these reasons, the Wingman is the second weapon that has qualified for the S tier. Next up, we have marksman rifles, starting with the triple take, which I have put in the B tier. The triple take is overall a pretty solid marksman with a good rate of fire, damage output, and mag size. However, the reason that I believe as of right now the triple take is the worst marksman in the game is due to the choke. As of Season 14, we now have the G7 Scout with an unbelievable rate of fire, the 30-30 repeater with amazing damage per shot and Skull Piercer rounds. While the triple take isn't a bad choice, there are currently much better alternatives, which is why the triple take is in the B tier. Speaking of the G7, I've decided to celebrate its return to ground loot with an A tier ranking. This gun has everything you want in a marksman, has a great rate of fire, good DPS, and a great magazine size. You can also slap a double tap trigger on this bad boy, and if you get that lucky body to heady shot, you can pretty much 2-tap people. The only issue I have with this weapon is that the temptation is always there to go absolutely ballistic due to its high rate of fire, which can make the weapon difficult to control. However, this isn't a big deal if you know what you're doing, which is why I've put the G7 in the A tier. The final marksman we have is the 30-30 repeater, which I have decided to put in the S tier. I feel like the main factor separating this marksman from the rest is the insane damage output. With some accurate shots, you can easily down an enemy quite a distance away with 3 to 4 shots. This weapon has a decent rate of fire, amazing damage output, and very generous magazine size. Additionally, you can now equip a Skull Piercer to this already amazing weapon, thus cementing its spot, in my opinion, in the S tier. Now onto shotguns, starting with the Peacekeeper, which I've put in the S tier. The Peacekeeper has pretty much always been the streamer go-to weapon for a reason. This shotgun can deal devastating amounts of damage while allowing the user great mobility to avoid the opposition between shots. While personally, in my hands, this weapon either seems to one-shot the opposition or hit them for 8 with no in-between, I have to acknowledge that in the right hands, this gun is an absolute beast, earning its spot in the S tier. Next, we have the shotgun that has been through a roller coaster of nerfs and buffs, the EVA 8, which I've decided to put alongside the PK in the S tier. The EVA has everything: a ridiculously high rate of fire, solid DPS, and a decent mag size. The EVA 8 really has it all, and personally, I find it to be much more consistent than the PK. If you haven't given this weapon a try in Season 14, you are definitely missing out. If you're able to get a purple bolt on this thing, you are going to be borderline unstoppable close range, assuming that you're hitting your shots. Enter in the sniper category, starting with the Sentinel, which I have put in the B tier. The Sentinel is overall a pretty solid choice with great bullet velocity and damage. You also have the option to charge it up using 2 shield cells for additional damage. However, the Sentinel does have a pretty low rate of fire, and the increase from 1 shield cell to 2 has made it quite costly to charge it up. The next sniper we have is the Longbow, which I have put in the A tier. In comparison to the Sentinel, the Longbow has a much higher rate of fire, allowing faster downs and a faster output of damage. You also need to lead your shots more, as the bullet velocity is slower than the Sentinel. The reason I put the Longbow a tier above the Sentinel is due to the damage output potential. While the Sentinel has a greater bullet velocity, the rate of fire is very slow, and with the Longbow, you can deal significantly more damage if you hit your shots in comparison to the Sentinel in the same amount of time. The option to equip the Longbow with a Skull Piercer is also a bonus. On to our final sniper, the Charge Rifle, which I've put in the S tier. There isn't really much to say other than this weapon is absolutely busted. Being able to beam people from across the map with minimal damage drop off is insane. The damage is great, the rate of fire is decent, and the range is practically limitless. Honestly, the only reason I picked this thing up is so that I stand a chance when it is used against me, and I really hope that sometime soon this weapon gets nerfed, as it is pretty insane. Next up, we have assault rifles, starting with the all reliable R301, which I've put in the S tier. Close range, mid-range, or long range, the R301 has you covered. With great DPS, fire rate, and mag size, these are just some of the reasons the R301 has been a staple weapon of Apex for so long. At times, it can be annoying not having an extended light mag when you do run out of bullets during a fight, sometimes leaving you wishing that you had a flatline, but the minimal recoil more than makes up for it. Overall, this is arguably the most versatile weapon in the game, which is why I have put it in the S tier. Our next AR is also in the S tier, and you guessed it, it's the Flatline. I honestly think of the Flatline as a harder hitting, more reliable at times version of the R301. With insane damage per shot and mag size, the Flatline is an excellent choice at pretty much any range. The only issue with this weapon is the recoil and the slower rate of fire. However, the recoil pattern, like any gun, can be learned with practice, and the damage per shot more than makes up for the slower fire rate, landing this weapon in the S tier. Our next AR is the Hemlok, which I've put in the A tier. The Hemlok is a very reliable assault rifle with solid DPS and mag size. However, the burst nature of the weapon means that you can be punished especially close range for missing your shots. I feel like there is a Goldilocks range with this weapon, which is roughly 20 to 30 meters away. In this range, you can absolutely demolish people. However, once you get to a range closer or further away, you will be outclassed by either SMGs or marksmans. The Hemlok is an overall solid weapon that is absolutely insane with a 2 to 3 times on it. Next is everybody's second favorite energy weapon, the Havoc, which I have put in the A tier. The Havoc is an absolute beast, capable of decimating an opponent in seconds. It has insane damage output and mag size. However, the downside to using this weapon is that you are rendered relatively immobile while using it, and it does have quite a lengthy charge up time. However, if you play it smart and charge it up early, or acquire a turbocharger, you don't really have to worry about this, and you are free to decimate anyone that stands in your way. Finally, we have the LMGs, starting with the Spitfire, which I decided to put in the B tier. While not quite as strong as its care package or pre-care package counterparts, the Spitfire is still a very solid LMG that I actually think is pretty slept on since its move to the light side. It has an amazing magazine size and solid damage. While the recoil was increased a bit, it is still overall pretty easy to control in my opinion, and for these reasons I have put the Spitfire in the B tier. Our next LMG is an interesting one to say the least. The L-Star, which I have put in the C tier. Although it was recently buffed, resulting in a longer duration before overheating and other overall changes to the health of the weapon, it is still pretty average. Although it is claimed to have an unlimited mag, the weapon still overheats after a short time, making it much less viable to use than most assault rifles and SMGs in the game. Furthermore, it doesn't really stand out in any particular area, and it always feels like there is a better alternative, thus landing this weapon in the C tier. Onto our final weapon on the list, the Devotion, which has been through a range of various buffs and nerfs throughout the past few seasons. There were definitely at least a couple of tiers that could be argued, but in the end, I decided to put the Devotion in the B tier. I feel as though the Devotion has one situation that it just absolutely dominates in, which is close range engagements, but other than that, it isn't a particularly useful weapon. The lengthy charge up time can be problematic, and even in those super close range fights, it can cost you. If you have a turbocharger on this bad boy, then best of luck to the unlucky person you run into in the next building, but other than that, this weapon is very situational and is outclassed by most other weapons in the vast majority of situations. There you have it, every single weapon, excluding care package weapons, in Season 14 ranked just for you guys. As always, if you did enjoy and want to see more videos just like this one, then be sure to leave a like and a comment with any changes you would have made in the comment section below. These videos do take a very long time to put together, so thank you again for all the support, as it does mean the world, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.